Let me put it this way. The real goal will make your eye shining. The real goal will go, that's what I want. I want, you know, a nice house for the reason that a nice house is in a nice neighborhood. Nice neighborhoods have good schools, and this is what I want, and I think, whatever. The real thing will make your eye shine up. So now, in order to imagine that, let's go to imagination. You've got to imagine that particular thing rather vividly with you in it. You know, rather vividly. And you don't need to worry about every little corner and will it come exactly that way. It's not so important, but do imagine it vividly. Imagine the house, see the kitchen, you know, see yourself in there. Imagine the smell of the car. Yes, do all that stuff, okay? That's about your goals, but there is still a big problem. Now that you have your goals, all your goals are about you. They are what's called inflow, okay? Inflow. You're flowing in. You're wanting something. It is not enough. You need to now, at the same time, as you have your goals set, which is okay to do that first. It's okay. Not necessarily. Actually, it's better to start off with the other one, but it's okay to start off with the goal. It doesn't really matter. With the thing you want. The stuff you want. And there are many things. Don't leave out. Don't just go only, I want to have money and a successful company and all those things. You know, yes, imagine it and see the company happening that in the success you want. But specifically, success alone isn't enough for definition. Success needs to be quantified. I want to have a 20 crore rupee. I want to have a $20 million company or whatever it is. Are you with me? Good. Okay. And also what industry and where and should your clients be only in your country? Should they be in another country? All those type of things you got to visualize beautifully. And as I said, however, that's only the beginning. And theoretically, you wouldn't even want to start off there, even though it's okay, because that's something you want. The next thing you need to imagine, what is it you want to give to people? And that's basically your product. You know, that's different for everybody. If you're a secretary, what you want to give to people is like, you know, nicely typed letter, an organized office for my boss having lots of free time, my boss not having to worry about his appointments, blah, blah, blah. For a business owner of, you know, being a doctor or a plastic manufacturer or a filmmaker or a machine manufacturer or a God only knows what, a distributor, it will be the product and a satisfied client. And again, you've got to quantify that, because if you want that $1 million house and you sell widgets, you know, you need to have X amount of widgets sold with X amount of profit in order to get that $1 million house. You see what I'm saying? This needs to have some type of matching there. So the next thing is you got to go and figure out the product you want to produce, the thing you want to give to your people, to your clients. You figure that out and you visualize that. You visualize that product reaching the hands of your consumers, customers, clients, patients, whatever it is. And you visualize them being happy. That's what you do. And then you have to visualize how to make the product, probably, but you also need to visualize how to sell it, how to market it. You got to visualize all that. You got to visualize the quantities of all of that. I told you how much the quantity is important, and you most likely will never be right, but you will get into that direction. So you will go, wow, I want $1 million house and able to pay for it nicely, so you know how much that is if you have to whatever. And I want to be, having kind of 2-3 kids and send them to college and all those things, and that costs X amount of money. And so I want to be basically, this is more or less what I want. And all the other little personal stuff in it, which should include, I want to be only working 3-4 days a week if possible, or I want to have at least 2-3-4 weeks a year vacation or more. Or I would like to be, while doing business, I would like to go to school and to learn something else, whatever that might be. Or I want to go and teach, whatever that might be. Or I might want to do social work for whoever, wherever, whatever. And you've got to fit that in your goal, because it changes the whole magnitude. I want to be with my wife X amount of times and evenings and whatever. You understand? Because if you don't fit that into part of your goal, if you only make your goal money, if you only make your goal my company being large, at the very, very best, if everything goes right, you will get that. And the rest will fall by the sideway. And you will have a marriage which is miserable because you're never home. You will have kids which don't know their dad. I mean, you know, you will kind of like retire and say, well, I never got to teach in the university. That was always a small dream, but I guess it didn't come together. Well, I should be happy with what I got. You know, that's how you will live your life. No, this is not right. You've got to imagine the health, and you've got to obviously, at any given point in time, imagine what you need to do for that. You don't just imagine good health. You imagine that you need to eat the proper food, you know, whatever that might be, not overcooked food, not too much butter, whatever that might in your mind consist of needing to do. You've got to imagine those things and live them, dream about them, daydream and dream about them during the night. I always dream about that beautiful stuff, how and what I go about it. Oh my God, I wake up so accelerated because I dream about it all the time. You know, all those beautiful things. So you get your goals, yes, and you define them a little bit. Don't worry about too much defining them, but live them at least, you know. Then you figure out, what do you need to sell to make, and how much of it do you need to sell to make? And then you, by figuring out, yes, you're figuring it out a little bit, but you're imagining it. Really, we're talking about imagination. Figuring it out something is your imagination. This is what you imagine, what you could and should do. Keep in mind, Jack Welch says, only 1 in 4 decisions he makes is right. So whatever you imagine probably isn't going to be so right, but you keep imagining and reimagining and reimagining, and not just imagination. That's what life is all about. That's the journey. Then you imagine on how much marketing it will take, and what kind of marketing you could do based on what you know, and what kind, you know, and where could you go to learn more about marketing? Where could you go to learn more about making your product? That's what it is all about. That's imagination. That's what you need to do. I know there's a tape and a series and a movie out there called The Secret. And I have watched it, and I found it pretty good. While at the same time, it's disgusting. It's good on one hand and it's disgusting on the other hand, because it misleads you. And I haven't seen 1 million of people who have watched this movie apparently, or more, way more probably. It was actually quite a big hit some 2, 3, 4, whatever years ago anyway. I haven't seen all of a sudden the planet going into wow, and everybody getting everything they want. I'll tell you why. Because The Secret kept a freaking secret. I actually just told you the secret. The Secret said, imagine your goal. It talked about that very beautifully, very beautifully. And then it's supposed to happen. Basically, imagine a butterfly and it will appear. Imagine lots of money and it will appear. Imagine 2,000 customers and they will appear. Bullshit. And maybe at a super high spiritual level, this could possibly be happening. I am not even saying it couldn't. I know I'm not there. And the best successful and super spiritual people, they took action. They took action.